you planted the seed and now you have to keep nourishing it, pruning it, like taking care of it. And the same applies to your career. Thinking, 3 to 5 steps ahead of where you want to be. Like I think about my days waitressing, that it would be like, okay, what do I have to do next? I have to drop a check, get water, tell someone about the specials, whatever it may be. But I was always thinking 3 to 5 steps ahead of where I was. And I think the same thing applies for your career. Like be present, do your job really well and, make the company proud and support your family, do what you need to do. But also be thinking, I'm not necessarily going to be here forever. And what are my safety nets? Because you never know when that rug's going to get pulled out from underneath you.
Welcome back to another episode of the Who You Know Show podcast, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your business, career, relationships, and life. My name is Trevor Houston, and on this show, you'll learn the strategy, grit, and mindset it takes to overcome obstacles so you can level up in your career, recover your cash flow, and live the life of purpose that God intended for you. Don't forget to look at the mic drop moments time-stamped in the show notes below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pay it forward, subscribe, and leave an honest review so we can improve. Thanks for listening. My name is Trevor Houston, and please enjoy this episode of the Who You Know Show.
The power of LinkedIn, right, people? I've been supporting the show.
Thank you.
I've been commenting.
You have been.
And then what did I do?
Came down here?
I left Trevor a voice note.
Yeah.
We'd never spoken on the phone. And I said, hey, this is Anna Morgan, your Career BFF. This is going to be super forward, but this is how I work. I'm coming into town on the 2nd, and you should have me on your show. That's also the power of commenting and building your brand in the comments and on LinkedIn. So he knew exactly who I was.
I figured, I'm like, okay, if she's going to fly all the way down here and she was very forward and direct. Tell us a little bit about how and why you got into being a coach and being the BFF.
Yeah. So, rescuer of animals and careers. I had been in recruiting. I was an agency headhunter for 10 plus years. And I had just built this brand that I was the person that everyone would message if they had a career or job search question. And after 1 year in corporate America, I realized that was probably not where I wanted to be long term. And I decided to start Career BFF as a side hustle. And then, so I worked on perfecting my skills and building my brand. And May 1st, I was laid off from my corporate position, so many other people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I always recommend that we have side hustles, because that way I was able to just pivot full time into serving job seekers and continuing to grow Career BFF.
Okay, I love what you said. You said that you need to get that side hustle.
Yes.
And oftentimes your side hustle becomes your main hustle. It just happens that way, right? It's what you're passionate about.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And I just kept seeing, opportunities working in that corporate setting where I felt like I could share best practices and help job seekers level up in getting in front of corporate recruiters, and then also having that knowledge as an agency recruiter, because how you get the two's attention, it can be a little bit different.
So, Anna, while you were going along, all of this time, did you have a little nudge, a little idea in the back of your head that there was something coming that you probably were going to be a part of, and has what's happened now become that thing that you were thinking?
Well, I mean, I think the evolution of Career BFF, like doing that part-time and, I had gotten the permission from my employer to market the two simultaneously, which was great. And then I just kept investing in learning best practices on LinkedIn. I worked with Judy Fox, who's a great,
Judy Fox.
yeah, shout out to Judy.
Judy Fox, what?
Yeah. She's, Judy Fox, love you. Such a great business BFF and amazing human being. But
she's cool.
She's shared some practices that really helped expand Career BFF. And, now I share some of those practices with job seekers as well to help them stand out on the platform.
Yeah, I love that. We got to interview her at Video Marketing World last year, and she was awesome. Okay, we got to rewind though, because we had a ring around the mic moment. Okay,
right.
So I got a question for the audience. This has nothing to do with anything, but we're just gonna throw the question out there and see who gets the answer right.
Toss it.
I'm the only one that's got the correct answer. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Tell me your answer in the comments.
Oh, goodness.
There's only one answer I'm looking for. All right. So anyways.
I'm
That
curious
sounds
to
like
see
an
what the
insect.
answers are going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me of that commercial. It was a Geico commercial or something like that. And the guy's like, hey, woodchuck, quit chucking my wood.
Oh, yeah.
And the woodchuck's just throwing
Woodchuck
wood in the
that's
water.
throwing wood in the water and
You
stuff.
remember?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's stupid.
Oh my goodness. So question, so you get to talk with people, right? People in career transition, searching for the next successful position all over the country, all over the world, perhaps. Is there an underlying theme as to what people are struggling with, like that you're seeing?
That's a good question.
Oh, that is a good question.
I think what I'm seeing, the pattern that I'm seeing is, and you guys hit on it before, is about like resiliency and persistence, and then not giving up. I have one client that I'm working with, and, she was targeting a big company, Nestle in Ohio. And she said, well, I commented once, I sent my resume, and I left a voicemail. I think I'm going to move on. And I was like, do you want to work for Nestle? Let's get after it. We've got all kinds of things we can do. We can do the video messaging. We can do the voice note messaging on LinkedIn. You can send her a handwritten message, via old mail. We have to take radical responsibility for our career and our job search strategy and be willing to go to any length to get that desired outcome. And, you can't give up. 3 touches is not going to yield the result. Like the testimonial video that you were talking about earlier. I mean, that's a wonderful story of just really well marketing yourself. And then I've had a lot of success working with people that are kind of on that late X or early boomer mentality, that were raised with social media, that they need to be super buttoned up and never share anything personal about themselves. But let me tell you what, recruiters remember you because of the unique things that you put in your about section or in your resume.
Yep, that's so true. What are you doing to stand out from the crowd?
Yeah. 3 calls, an email.
Yeah, 3 calls, email, and
and then just like target, one, being super specific about the organizations that you're targeting, not going the spray and pray route that we talked about earlier, but being very intentional and really teaching people how to reverse engineer. If they want to work for that specific company, they need to try, these different strategies to get in front of those recruiters and hiring managers and find their leadership voice to help us get to know you so you are top of mind when we have that account manager position or that financial analyst position or whatever it may be.
I love that. Stay top of mind. So how do you stay top of mind? Like, what are some ways that you can do that if you're a job seeker? What do you do to stay top of mind?
So, I think a sustainable strategy, especially for people who aren't super comfortable with social media on LinkedIn, is strictly commenting.
Yeah.
I think there's so much power in commenting. But then I would also suggest, if they're comfortable with it, to start producing some micro content about their successes, their accomplishments, what their managers used to say about them, a project they completed. So, we're processing this data, and then we're like, oh, I'm going to immediately think of Foster when I need to hire someone. And the same principle applies for job seekers.
Love that. So Josh Ferris, he asked me a question. He came through our summit. He's creating content. He's doing a phenomenal job. By the way, Josh, you're doing a great job, man.
Big impact.
And he asked me a question. He's like, I'm getting around this many views, and I'm trying to just take it a step up. A big thing that you can do is pre-post. And after your post, what you want to do is hop in the comments. So before you even post, go comment on a bunch of people's stuff for like 30 minutes, okay? And make sure it's, it could be companies that you're looking at. It could be recruiters that you're trying to get conversations with. Go comment on a bunch of people's content for 30 minutes. Then post, okay? Then after your post, right, is going, you want to do the same thing, right? You want to just start commenting. The algorithm's picking up all of that activity, and you're going to get more views. It takes a little work. It takes work.
So the work takes a little time.
It does, but that's the easiest way that I've experienced since I started being super active on the platform back in November. Was my commenting strategy is really what gave my post traction. So I've noticed now, because I'm coaching more and commenting less, that my views are down because I'm not spending as much time. But it's all about the law of reciprocity. We were going to talk, I wanted to share about was like proactive career planning. I think we're all like super focused on job seekers that are unemployed or in unhealthy situations. And I just want to encourage everyone to, continually do that self-assessment about where you are in your career, where you want to be, like what was shared earlier. What are your passions, your volunteer work, and how does that align with the next 2, 5, 7, 10 years that you're looking to move forward? It's kind of like the analogy of healthy eating and dieting, right? So proactive career planning is healthy eating and dieting versus binge dieting, right? When you're looking for a job, you're like binge dieting, and then you get the job and, you stop eating healthy and exercising essentially, right?
Yeah.
Or you could think about like gardening, you planted the seed and now you have to keep nourishing it, pruning it, like taking care of it. And the same applies to your career.
Yeah,
I love that. It's like, I think of it as the best defense, right, is a good offense.
Right.
And if you are on the offense, like looking at your next play,
yes,
right, what your next move is going to be, like, it doesn't matter if the company lets you go. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'm already working on.
I was already on the way out.
Yeah.
Well, it's always just thinking, 3 to 5 steps ahead of where you want to be. Like, I think about my days waitressing, that it would be like, okay, what do I have to do next? I have to drop a check, get water, tell someone about the specials, whatever it may be. But I was always thinking 3 to 5 steps ahead of where I was. And I think the same thing applies for your career. Like, be present, do your job really well, and, make the company proud and support your family, do what you need to do. But also be thinking about like, I'm not necessarily going to be here forever. And what are my safety nets? And that's why going back to LinkedIn and continuing to network every day, all the time is so important, because you never know when that rug's going to get pulled out from underneath you.
It's all about
who
you know. And it's all about LinkedIn. It's all about Hannah Morgan.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.